My name's Miranda Miller, and I'm just about to publish my 9th novel, which is called When I Was. It's about a child and a family growing up in London in the 1950s. Of all the books I published, this is the most autobiographical. And I found, when I considered my memories and then excavated behind them, there were a lot of other people there. So it is a novel rather than a memoir. It's written in the third person and not in the first person. I was the youngest of 4 children with 3 older brothers. And because I was the youngest, I felt very lonely during my first few years. Here's a picture of the nursery, where I was extremely bored from about the ages of 2 to 3. And then at that age, I tottered downstairs and made some friends, including the fairy godmother, who's a character in the novel, and lived there quite happily for a while. Well, in about the late 40s, just before I was born, my father, who was a scriptwriter called Alan Hyman, inherited a lot of money from his mother. And it seemed like a wonderful free trip. But in fact, it was all tied up in family trusts. And there were very draconian family solicitors. And my father and mother, who had 4 small children at the time, I had 3 older brothers, my parents had a great time for about 5 or 6 years, spending very freely. My mother was a shopaholic. My father didn't work for those years. They had a great time. And then rather suddenly, when I was 5, the money was cut off and they had to move from a huge 7-bedroom house in Chelsea to a small flat at the top of a house near Swiss Cottage. And this was fine for me. I didn't mind at all because I got more company. I shared a room with my parents, which I thought was lovely. And I made a friend next door, Claire, who is actually sitting beside me at the party on the cover of the book, When I Was. Claire and I heard so much from our parents about being worried about money that we were constantly digging for treasure in our back gardens, which in those days still had bomb shelters in them. The war was very present still in London in the 1950s. But for my parents and for my brothers, it was all devastating. My father at that time was ghosting the autobiography of a woman who's called Gertrude in the novel. She had started off as a chorus girl and then had married a millionaire. And this relationship with her put my parents' marriage under a lot of strain. Now, of course, I can sympathize with all the stress that they were under. And I think also for my 3 older brothers, this move was considered shameful and humiliating. And that's really what the novel is about. And then after a short time in this tiny flat where we really were very cramped, we moved to a more comfortable flat in St. John's Wood. So I do hope you'll be able to come to the launch of When I Was at the Owl Bookshop in Kentish Town Road. It'd be great if you can come along. Thank you.